Bronwyn, the Prime Minister gets caught lying again about the interaction with China. Oh, everyone was told about it. Every level of ministry, yet it's pretty obvious none of that took place. His response to what seemed like a particularly dangerous escalation, and these things have been building for a while, just his blood pressure doesn't go above sleeping rate.
Well, he is President Xi's handsome boy.
Of course.
But he's also the liar in the lodge. I mean, the man indicated that the ministers were going to speak to each other, that he would speak to Xi, at least that the ambassador would be called in and dressed down for what was a very dangerous and really tempting fate, in that if it had gone really wrong, what would have been the next step?
That's the reporting.
That's the really question. But you can't believe a word this man says. The fact of the matter is that he simply has accepted his role as the head of a vassal state as far as he's concerned, and all he wants is that when the election comes, the Communist Party of China will send messages out to the diaspora that's here in Australia.
Well, Stephen, there was a rather significant change in the diaspora's vote at the last election, wasn't there?
Oh, my God. Look, there are two people who you should never take diplomatic advice from. One's Bronwyn and one's me. But Bronwyn went from 0 to 500 there with not a fact in sight. She made some assertions about what she claimed the Prime Minister said. I've been following this issue closely, Paul, as you know. I haven't heard the Prime Minister say any of the things that Bronwyn just claimed to say. I think you've pointed...
He said at every level.
No, I didn't.
He said at every level.
But he said every level, and then the report is it's not every level. That's my point tonight.
So I repeat, Paul made some good points. Bronwyn just made some factless points. So on the core issue
and you're making
about how to deal with the Chinese government, no. So on the core issue on how to deal with China, they could not give a stuff what Australia says.
I didn't realise that you were
very, very clear about this. Well, like you, Bronwyn, I've spent a lot of time studying these issues. But on the core point, China don't care what Australia say or think. They'll play us on a break whenever they can. So the most substantive thing that Australia can do is to continue, as we have been doing, opposing their coercion and bribery in the Pacific Islands, working to build the alliance network across the Indo-Pacific, whether it's with India,
been blown out
Philippines,
of the sky. What do we
Indonesia.
do?
Listen.
I'm asking Stephen.
Well, you should absolutely, should absolutely protest. And I mean, the Prime Minister's words were very clear. And just in case you're wondering if you want to see a comparison about how would, say, the US describe it, the US described it publicly in exactly the same way. So I don't think we're going to take advice from the Liberal Party about foghorn diplomacy designed to try, unfortunately for them and fail, curry votes in Australia.
But isn't this how China wins every time?
Absolutely.
No one pushes back, and if you do push back, it's accused of being foghorn.
Absolutely.
The words were used.
Define Australia pushing back. What are you actually suggesting Australia do?
The Chinese Premier, then until they say, sorry, you're not allowed to come here, you can't get, well, you're not invited in June. That's what I'd say.
Well, the way diplomacy works, I'm not a fan of it. Let's be very clear, I repeat, I'm not the person you put in charge of chatting to anyone, that's not a friend of ours diplomatically, and I think Bronwyn would be in the same camp, okay? So you actually have to have a level of dialogue. It's probably a unity ticket. But let's not pretend how this world works. It's not a world I want to be in.
This is how it works under Albanese.
Not pretend. No, that's how it works when
how do we push?
The last government,
for starters,
you push by consistently raising it.
That's point number one. Where's Penny Wong? Where's her statement?
Yeah, correct.
We've got the language that's used, unprofessional and unacceptable. That's what you'd say about a junior in the office who wrote a bad letter.
We know where the the foghorn diplomacy, the playing of domestic politics,
and it
which
was
you
Mr.
thought
Miles,
would help you,
of course.
it didn't.
The domestic politics is not to offend the Chinese diaspora in this country.
No, let's be clear. We have a public defence document that identifies China as a clear and present danger to us. We have an alliance network that we're building across the Indo-Pacific to deal specifically with, I know the government doesn't say it out loud, but let's be clear, to deal
Stephen,
specifically
we've
with
got
China.
A